good evening. It's just past 6 o'clock on Saturday the 25th of June and welcome to our weekly news programme. Now, a man was hospitalised on Thursday night following an incident in Portland Road, Wyke Regis. A number of police units were seen rushing around Wyke and seemed to be helping someone later on in Portland Road at around 8 p.m. Just before South West Ambulance arrived on scene. A spokesman for the South Western Ambulance Service NHS Foundation Trust said, "We were called at 2016 on Thursday the 23rd of June to an incident in the Wyke Regis area of Weymouth. We sent 2 double-crewed land ambulances and conveyed 1 patient to Dorset County Hospital. Nothing else is available on that at the moment." Now, the Birmingham 2022 Queen's Baton Relay is confirmed to be visiting Portland early next month during its final journey through England this summer. Birmingham 2022 is hosting the 16th official Queen's Baton Relay, a journey which brings together and celebrates communities across the Commonwealth during the build-up to the Games. In England, the Queen's Baton Relay will provide the opportunity for communities to experience the excitement for Birmingham 2022 as the 11 days of show-stopping sport nears ever closer. Members of the public are encouraged to get involved with the celebrations and embrace the arrival of the baton, taking the opportunity to experience the buzz of Birmingham 2022 in their own community. Now, on Monday the 4th of July, Portland will officially welcome the baton. The baton will leave Lorette Road just off Victoria Square at 2:40 p.m. It will then turn into Mulberry Avenue, where the baton will travel up the coast path all the way to the Weymouth and Portland National Sailing Academy via the boatyard. The baton is expected to arrive at the Sailing Academy at 3 p.m, where it will continue the relay on various vessels in the bay before coming back into the Sailing Academy, and is expected to be on its way to Bournemouth at around 3:30 to 4 p.m. at the latest. Now, spectators are encouraged to line Lorette Road and Mulberry Avenue, as there will be several baton bearers positioned along the route. People are then welcome to follow the baton to the Sailing Academy. The Birmingham 2022 Queen's Baton Relay began at Buckingham Palace last October, when the Queen placed her message to the Commonwealth into the baton and passed it to 4-time Paralympic gold medalist Kadina Cox, who had the honour of being the first of thousands of baton bearers to carry the baton as it travelled around the world. Now, if you want to know more information on the Queen's Baton Relay, there is a specific website for it that gives you all the places and timings. It's www.birmingham2022.com/QBR. That's /QBR for Queen's Baton Relay. Weymouth Town Council are saying a huge thank you to everyone who turned out for one of Weymouth Town Council's flagship events over the Armed Forces weekend. Crowds enjoyed the parades, a poignant service and the amazing flypast featuring a hurricane. The 3-day celebrations of Armed Forces personnel past, present and future concluded with a flag-raising ceremony on Monday the 20th of June. And there's a picture of the flag-raising ceremony on the screen now. Councillor Anne Weaving, who's Mayor of Weymouth, was joined by local and visiting veterans for the ceremony. She said Armed Forces Weekend is one of Weymouth's biggest and best occasions, and it's always so special to see the town come together to honour our Armed Forces personnel of the past, present and future. The raising of the Armed Forces Day flag rounds off a weekend of commemorative events, and we're very proud to be flying the flag as a mark of respect and appreciation for all the hard work, bravery, commitment of those who serve our country. Now, this weekend also, remember, today has been a third of a rail strike that have been happening over this week. And so we remind travellers that there will be disruptions to services for the rest of the weekend, and particularly tomorrow, obviously. We don't know if there's any future plans for strikes, but we will keep you informed as time goes on. Now, elections for a local councillor are to be held in Wyke Regis on Thursday the 7th of July. As far as we know, there are 3 candidates standing. Helen Toff for the Greens, Joanna Dickinson for the Conservatives and Steve Brown for Labour. We hope to be speaking to all candidates before the election. We've given them all an invite, and later in today's programme we will see the first of our 3 interviews with Helen Toft, who we spoke to earlier today. Now, local department store Gould's have been busy loading a delivery of 50 duvets destined for the Ukraine families who are settling in the local area. The Gould's donation is being delivered to a newly opened warehouse on the Granby Industrial Estate. Organised by Weymouth for Ukraine Group, the warehouse redistributes donations to families from the war-torn country moving to the Dorset area. Ukrainian families can select clothing, school uniforms and essentials for everyday living. And now, of course, thanks to Gould's, sleeping equipment as well. Gail Reynolds, organiser for Weymouth for Ukraine, said, "What a great donation. This generous gift from Gould's stores is a welcome bonus and provides one of the essentials and often most expensive items the families need. The bedding will go straight to the Ukrainian families who need it, whether they are guests of local people or finding independent accommodation themselves." Thank you to Gould's. The Weymouth for Ukraine warehouse opened its doors on the 31st of May. It's the brainchild of Gail Reynolds and Caroline Whitley, who recognise Ukrainian families need access to essential items here in Dorset, especially since the closure of a similar facility which had been operating temporarily in Bridport. Whilst the new Weymouth warehouse will accommodate the roaming stock from the Bridport closure, they're also on the lookout for donations to meet an increasing demand. Now, one of the other organisers, Caroline Whitley, said, "We are delighted with the response we have received so far, but more is needed. Everyone can help, whether you are a business or an individual. Bring your donations to our warehouse at 10 Cambridge Road, Granby Industrial Estate in Weymouth. We are open from Tuesday to Thursday, 10 AM to 12 noon. There's also a Facebook group, Weymouth for Ukraine, which has got various details on it. And there's an email address if you want to contact Gail, office@gailreynolds.co.uk. office@gailreynolds.co.uk. Now, up to 8 locked hotel rooms were broken into one evening at a Weymouth seafront hotel, with reports of cash stolen from elderly guests. Police said that around 8 rooms at the Russell Hotel in Weymouth are believed to have been broken into following a report that cash was stolen from a guest on Wednesday evening. Guests were not in their rooms at the time of the burglary. Now, it's not the first time that holidaymakers have been targeted at the Russell Hotel, with a similar incident having taken place in October last year, when 2 rooms at the hotel were burgled. A spokesman for Dorset Police said, "We received a report of a theft of cash from a hotel room between 4:55 PM and 7:45 PM on Wednesday the 22nd of June at the Russell Hotel on the Esplanade in Weymouth. It was subsequently reported that further rooms have been broken into, believed to be around 8 in total. Officers have attended to take details from the victims and are inquiring into the matter. No arrests have been made at the current time." Now, Litter Free Dorset are launching their Don't Feed the Locals campaign. Litter Free Dorset's Don't Feed the Locals campaign is back this summer. The Litter Free Dorset team are working with town councils and local takeaway businesses to spread the Don't Feed the Locals message to discourage intentional and accidental feeding of seagulls. Don't Feed the Locals is a positive, humorous, engaging directly with the communities and visitors to reduce litter and antisocial behaviour by seagulls, improving the seaside and town centre environment for everyone. Litter Free Dorset are calling on locals and visitors to never leave food unattended, bin any unwanted food, and if the bins are full, to please take the rubbish home. Now, Sophie Colley from Litter Free Dorset said, "It's really important we do not feed seagulls, as encouraging this bad behaviour can lead to them relying on scraps from humans. This can result in greedy gulls pulling rubbish out of bins, scattering litter everywhere to find scraps, or stealing straight from our hands or laps. No one wants their alfresco dinner ruined by some aggressive gulls." Litter Free Dorset are working with town councils to display banners along seafronts and in car parks, while calling on takeaway businesses to display campaign artwork in their windows to spread the Don't Feed the Locals message with their customers. They already have 60 businesses across Dorset displaying the posters and encouraging their customers to bin their rubbish or take it home with them afterwards. If the bins are full, they are very importantly asking you to take the rubbish home and dispose of it. Seagulls are clever and will pull rubbish out of overflowing bins and tear apart bags of rubbish placed next to it or on top of bins, scattering litter everywhere while on the hunt for their tasty treats. Once littered, this rubbish can easily be blown around or washed into the sea, Sophie added. Ria Loveridge, who is the mitigation coordinator at the Bird Recreation Initiative, Barry for short. This campaign isn't about litter on our streets, she said. It's also an important message about the health of our most iconic seaside birds. Just like humans, gulls get addicted to junk food, either from us directly feeding it to them or from them picking bins when food isn't disposed of well enough. The junk food diet is proving devastating for their gut health, and although it may seem like there are loads of gulls around, the herring gull has actually been on the RSPB red list since 2009 due to decline in populations. Gulls are the sound of the British seaside and need our protection, so Barry says please don't feed the gulls. Now, if you want more information on the Don't Feed the Locals campaign, head to the Litter Free Dorset website at www.litterfreedorset.co.uk. That's www.litterfreedorset.co.uk. Now, first of a number of appeals from Dorset Police this evening. Dorset Police, investigating an assault on Portland, are issuing a CCTV image of a man they would like to speak to, and you can see it on the screen now. Between 4:15 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 7th of June, a 16-year-old boy was cycling past the Co-op store at Fortune's Well and became involved in a verbal exchange with a man who was leaving the store. The man then struck the boy on the back of the head before walking off. The victim, fortunately, did not sustain any serious injuries, but Police Constable Jim Brockenshire of Dorset Police has said, "We are carrying out inquiries into this report of an assault and have obtained a CCTV image of a man who we would like to speak to as part of our investigation." So, of course, if anybody recognises who this man is, Dorset Police would like to hear from you, and I'll give you the numbers shortly. Now, the second one from Dorset Police. They are investigating reports of an altercation involving two men in Weymouth and appealing for witness for anyone who saw it or has footage of it to come forward. At around 2:40 p.m. on Thursday the 23rd of June, it was reported that a man was riding a bicycle along the Esplanade when he became involved in a verbal exchange with a man in a car. The motorist allegedly made a racial abusive comment to the cyclist. The same two men were then reportedly involved in an altercation in Lennox Street shortly afterwards, with both men sustaining injuries. Two local men, one aged 37, the other 63, have been arrested on suspicion of a fray, and inquiries into the incident are ongoing. So again, if you know anything about that, Dorset Police would like to hear from you. The third and final one from Dorset Police tonight. Officers are appealing for witnesses to come forward following an alleged public order incident in Weymouth. At around 2 p.m. on Wednesday the 22nd of June, it is alleged that a man was acting antisocially in Weymouth town centre. A further report was received that the man threatened an elderly woman with a sharp item in the area of St Thomas Street. A carving fork was seized from the scene. A 20-year-old man of no fixed abode has been arrested and subsequently charged with possession of a sharp-pointed article in a public place and using threatening, abusive or insulting words or behaviour to cause harassment, alarm or distress. He's due to appear in Poole Magistrates Court soon. Police Constable Kirsty Keep of Dorset Police said, "I am appealing for anyone who was in the area and witnessed what happened to please get in touch. I'd also like to make a direct appeal to the alleged victim to please come forward so we can establish exactly what happened." Now, anyone who's got any information on any of those three incidents, whether it's just information, it's CCTV, mobile phone picture or dash cam footage from your car, or just some information, do contact Dorset Police on 101. And of course, if you wish to pass on the information anonymously, you can do this through the Crime Stoppers charity on free phone 0800 555 111. That's either 101 direct to Dorset Police or via Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Now another appeal, this time from the coroner for Dorset, who is seeking the assistance of the public to find the next of kin of a man who died in Dorchester. John Wallace, who was 74 years old, died at Dorset County Hospital on Monday the 20th of June. His home address was in Market Street in Weymouth. His death is not being treated as suspicious and there are no police investigations involved in his death. But Coroner's Officer Sharon Emerson said, we have not been able to track down the next of kin. So if any member of the public has any information to do with his next of kin or any family members, that's for John Wallace, 74 years old, who died at Dorset County Hospital on Monday, but his home address was in Market Street, Weymouth, then do contact the Coroner's Office on 01202 123 900. Now, Weymouth company Ultra Electronics is set for a takeover from aerospace giant Cobham. The company, which has sites in Weymouth and Furdown, is reported to have been acquired for £2.6 billion. The purchase requires the approval of the government due to Ultra being involved in projects involving national security and defence. London-based Ultra makes submarine hunting equipment as well as control systems for Trident submarines. The Weymouth-based operation, based on the Granby industrial site, works for the Maritime Division as well as energy and electronics sectors. Cobham Group is owned by an American private equity group and its UK base is in Wimborne, and it employs around 10,000 staff, with some of the best known work that Cobham do in in-flight refuelling systems. Now back to Dorset Police again, but this time about recruitment. Dorset Police have launched its latest campaign to recruit police constables as part of a national programme to increase numbers. Applications opened on Thursday and will close on Thursday the 21st of July, and it's hoped that the campaign will attract individuals from a range of backgrounds, age and experiences. The campaign is part of a national uplift scheme, and the force has already recruited an extra 56 student police officers during the first 3 months of 2022. This recruitment success between the 1st of January and 1st of April is set to be boosted with a further 140 student officers expected to join the force between now and the 31st of March next year. In 2019, the government announced plans to recruit an extra 20,000 police officers over 3 years, and by the end of March 2022, a total of 13,567 additional officers have been recruited by police forces across England and Wales, which is above the target set for the first 2 years of 12,000 additional officers. Dorset Police have said that this recruitment drive has enabled the force to recruit officers who embody a more diverse representation of our community since the uplift began. The percentage of officers from Black, Asian, mixed and minority ethnic backgrounds and the number of women joining the force has increased. The force has recruited officers by a variety of entry routes: the Police Constable Degree Apprenticeship, the Degree Holder Entry Programme, the Detective Degree Holder Entry Programme, as well as a number of officers rejoining the service and transferring to Dorset from other forces. Now the question is, could you be one of Dorset Police's new recruits? If so, the recruitment exercise, as we said, is open until midnight on Thursday the 21st of July. Now if you want to find out more about the benefits of a career in the police and to submit your application, there is a specific website. I'm sure if you can't remember this one, then you will be able to find information on the Dorset Police website itself. But the recruitment website is recruitment-dcp-dp.org/Dorset-your-police-career/police-officers. Now I'll say that again, but I'm sure you will find a link from the Dorset Police website. It's recruitment-dcp-dp.org/Dorset-your-police-career/police-officers. And finally, in our headlines tonight, Weymouth Stands with Ukraine. That's a group. Are holding an event at the Jubilee Clock in Weymouth tomorrow. Between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Sunday the 26th of June, members of the Ukrainian community in Weymouth will come together to host an event at the Jubilee Clock on the promenade. The event is being organised by the group ahead of the Ukrainian Constitution Day, which falls on Tuesday the 28th of June, and that's the national holiday, the main national holiday in Ukraine. And there will be Ukrainian flags, bunting and banners, and children are due to sing in Ukrainian and wear traditional dress. Weymouth Town Council is lending its support to the event being organised by Ukrainian members of the local community who are already living in the town, and want to thank residents who have done so much to help and support them over the past few months. Members of the public are invited to join the family-friendly event. Now, we've got quite a few Ukrainian families living here in Wyke already and attending our local schools, and I know there's quite a number throughout Weymouth and Portland, so there could be quite a gathering there tomorrow. Councillor Anne Weaving, Mayor of Weymouth, said it was a special moment when Weymouth residents came together earlier in the year to hold a vigil at the Jubilee Clock in support of the people of Ukraine. Weymouth still stands with Ukraine, and this Sunday's event is a chance to join together once more and meet members of the Ukrainian community living in Weymouth. I'm looking forward to seeing the children in traditional dress, singing songs of Ukraine, and I hope to welcome many members of the community to the event. Now, Mariana Dobibish, I hope I've said that right, Mariana, representing the group organising the event, said, "We are really grateful to Weymouth citizens for all your help, and we would like to tell you more about our country, our symbols, values, ourselves, and what we have left at home." So that's tomorrow at the Jubilee Clock starting at 11 o'clock. Now that completes our headlines for this week's programme. Now, our first major piece in today's programme, I mentioned earlier that we are starting a series of interviews with the candidates who are standing for the Wyke Regis ward for Weymouth Town Council, and those elections are on the 7th of July in Wyke Regis. We've got 3 candidates standing as far as we know. Helen Toft for the Green Party, Steve Brown for Labour, and Joanna Dickinson for the Conservative Party. Now, earlier today, I met with Helen Toft to ask a few questions and to find out a bit about her. And here she comes now. So, good evening. We're here this evening with Helen Toft, who is standing for the Green Party in the Wyke Regis local elections for the Weymouth Town Council, which are being held on the 7th of July. So good evening, Helen.
Good evening,
thank you very much for joining us. It's good that you've agreed to come and talk to us. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what you do and what you've done, etc.
Well, I moved here with my husband over 20 years ago. We got married in Scotland and we came down south and settled in Weymouth. And we've lived in the same house in the same spot ever since because we love the area so much, and why would you move? And we've brought up 2 children who've both gone to local schools, which now fled the nest, but never mind. And yes, I've worked in Weymouth. I've worked from home while I was bringing up the children, and I worked for Weymouth Bid, and that gave me an interest in the town and how things happened in the town.
Excellent. And what do you think are the main issues concerning the people of Wyke Regis at the moment?
Well, at the moment, I think the primary concern for most people is the planned waste incinerator on Portland. This waste incinerator will be generating 8 lorries an hour up and down Portland Road, which is already congested, bringing in waste from outside Dorset, not Dorset's own waste, but imported waste, and burning it and putting CO2 into the atmosphere from a great big ugly chimney. This will be a blot on the Jurassic coast, and there is a possible risk that we may lose World Heritage status if this goes ahead, which would be dreadful for the local economy. It's the planned incinerator is not actually generating very many local jobs. Experts will be coming from elsewhere to run it, so there isn't really, truthfully, anything good for Wyke in allowing the incinerator to go ahead.
Okay, and what do you think should be the priorities for our local town council?
Our local town council, which I haven't great deal of respect for, and which I think has done great things since it came into being, much better I think than the former borough council. I think it should continue to do what it has done. It's done a lot for art and open spaces and people. I particularly like the way the quayside has been done. I know that was done by Dorset Council, but it has had Weymouth Council involvement, and I think that's a great enhancement to the harbour side. I think they're very much doing the right things, and I would like to be involved in that and going forward.
And when people go out to vote on the 7th of July, they've all got one vote, and we all obviously encourage people to use their vote and use it wisely. Why should they actually vote for you? Why should they put that cross against your name on the 7th of July?
Well, I think because I get things done. I think you've only got to look at my Facebook page to see my history of campaigning for saving the lollipop people, which was 11 years ago now, campaigning for solar panels on school roofs, campaigning for local school meals for schools provided by the college. These are all things that I did before I was a councillor. So if you make me your councillor, I can continue to do even better things for you, hopefully.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Helen, for joining us tonight and sharing your views with us. We do hope to speak to the other candidates. We have offered them an interview and hope to speak to them before the 7th of July as well. But thank you, Helen.
You.
There we go. That was me speaking to Helen Toft, who's the Green Party candidate for the Wyke Regis elections on the 7th of July for Weymouth Town Council. And as I say, I will hope to be speaking. I've put invitations out to Steve Brown for Labour and Joanna Dickinson for the Conservatives, and hopefully we can get those keyed up this coming week. Now, our second feature tonight is from our regular contributor Janet Hall, who's been inspired over the last week by the recent hot weather, and it got her thinking back about hot weather and heat waves. So we're going over to Janet now.
With the spell of hot weather that we had about a week ago, I wonder how many of you remembered the summer of 1976. Now that was a heat wave. It is thought to be the hottest average temperature in the UK for more than 350 years. And it was one of the driest, sunniest and warmest summers in the 20th century. Although maybe the summer of 1995 is now regarded as the driest. The heatwave lasted for 15 days, spanning from the 23rd of June all the way until the 7th of July. And it still remains the hottest on record, with Heathrow recording temperatures over 30 degrees for 16 days straight. Although this was heaven for a lot of the population, there were some disastrous consequences. Some places in Britain went 45 days without rain, causing widespread drought. The lack of rain also meant that wildfires were extensive, although this actually had some ecological benefit as it helped kill scrub, which was invading heathland across the country. There was, however, a 20% excess death rate during the heatwave, plus a significant rise in emergency hospital admissions during the 2-week period where temperatures soared. Furthermore, the heatwave strangely led to swarms of an estimated 23.65 billion ladybirds as the heat amped up their food sources. The government had begun to panic previously about low water levels in April and May, and water restrictions were introduced. And by the summer months, the heat was so intense that the government introduced a Drought Act. In the last week of August 1976, during Britain's driest summer in over 200 years, Dennis Howell was made Minister for Drought, but nicknamed Minister for Rain. Howell was charged by the Prime Minister with the task of persuading the nation to use less water. Although it always seems nice to have a long hot summer, just remember how the summer of 1976 led to some consequences we would rather not repeat. Goodbye for now.
Thank you, Janet, there, and wonder what the rest of this summer is going to have in store for us. It was rather hot last week, and certainly the gardens and the grass in particular looking a little bit dry already, and it's only still June. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, our third piece this week comes from the Jurassic Coast Trust, and specifically a series that they produce called Pebbles People. Now, I don't expect many of you have heard of Pebbles People, and I happened to come across it recently and thought it would be wonderful to share with you. Pebbles People is a series of videos exploring the uses and importance of and human connection with the humble pebble and geology as part of the Jurassic Coast celebration of 20 years of being inscribed as a World Heritage Site. Now, June's Pebbles People, which we're going to see in a second, looks at the historic uses of pebbles and evidence that still exists of this in the landscape today. So this is courtesy of the Jurassic Coast Trust. It's called Pebbles People, and hope you'll find it interesting.
Hiya, I'm Steve, new manager at Beer Quarry Caves, doing my best here, but today, forget about the caves, let's talk about flints and pebbles that we find down on the beach, and some of the uses that they've been used for over the years. Traditionally, pebbles were sourced down on Branscombe Beach for various reasons, brought here on site and sorted. Here we can find, it all come from this site here. This is a cobble, which was probably intended for a street or a pavement somewhere. Pebbles were also sourced for the use of making paint and cosmetics as well. Here's a conveniently shaped black flint nodule, would have been intended for a building, so we've got a few uses there. Flints also were produced in beer for the flintlock pistols. I haven't managed to find one yet, but there is another use. Anyway, we've got some Neolithic slingshots here, and you can see range of tools, Neolithic tools, flint arrowhead, leaf-shaped arrowhead here, a Neolithic axe, Neolithic polished axe. However, these are from the upper greensand layers, chert, pestle, hammerstone, and this Mesolithic core. So that tells us people have been using this flint for many, many years. Not only that, it's still used in production for many things today. Eye surgery, many other uses. Thank you very much.
For hundreds of years, shingle was taken from the beach at West Bay and was exported all around the world. The gravel was used for anything from pebble dashing houses to building dikes in the Netherlands. The gravel and sand was moved by teams of shire horses and loaded into trailers called putts. Horses were eventually replaced in the 60s by Caterpillar tractors. Throughout the 1900s, people became more concerned about the effects of removing so much shingle from the beach. It was even starting to affect the beach levels at the eastern end of Chesil Beach. In 1970 alone, 7,000 tonnes of shingle was taken. The practice was finally stopped in 1985, and the beach is now being built up with large rocks as a sea defence. Find out more about this and West Bay's fascinating history in the West Bay Discovery Centre. Open every Tuesday to Sunday, 11 AM to 4 PM.
There we go. That's from the Jurassic Coast Trust, and the series called Pebbles People. Now, if you're interested in the work of the Jurassic Coast Trust, go on to Google and search for Jurassic Coast Trust. Their role is to protect and promote the World Heritage Site across the Jurassic Coast. And if you're interested in seeing more of Pebbles People, go into YouTube and search for Pebbles People, and you will find quite a lot of interesting little short videos pop up there that you can watch. Now we've come to that time in the programme where we're going to see what the national weather forecast is for the weekend, and this week we are joined by Helen Roberts.
Hello and welcome to your weather update from the Met Office. Now this weekend is looking rather changeable, a little bit of a shock to the system in comparison with some recent days, as low pressure is firmly in charge of our weather, giving some cooler and quite breezy conditions at times. So for Saturday evening, further showers for a time. They will gradually tend to fade away as the night progresses. Meanwhile, the next batch of cloud and rain sweeping in from the west around that circulating area of low pressure. So as we start Sunday, there will be a half and half story across the country, with drier, brighter conditions in the east, but quite a lot of cloud already in the west. And again, some showers with heavy downpours at times and occasional rumbles of thunder once again possible. Again, the best chance of seeing the driest and brightest weather will tend to be across the southeast corner, but once again, the odd isolated shower is possible. Temperature-wise on Sunday, perhaps a notch down on Saturday, still just about reaching the low 20s in the southeast, high teens elsewhere, but that's about where we should be at this time of year. So as we head into next week, it's more of the same as that low pressure continues to dominate the weather, so staying on the changeable side with further breezy and slightly cooler conditions. And if you do have outdoor plans this weekend, then do stay up to date with the latest forecast by following us on social media and using our app. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, Helen, there for the national weather forecast, and the week forecast for the locality is now up on the screen. And as Helen said in the national weather forecast, it looks to be a changeable week ahead. A bit of sunshine, a bit of cloud, a bit of rain dispersed throughout the week, but quite mild, warming up as we get towards next weekend. Right, moving on to traffic and travel. And firstly, roadworks. Roadworks expected this week. Roadworks with traffic lights and traffic control in Preston Road and Chickerell Road near the Chickerell Army Camp. Other roadworks that shouldn't have traffic control are Knightsdale Road, Newtons Road, Rallipole Lane, Field Barn Drive, Glendenning Avenue, South Hill Garden Drive, Kings Road and Brackendown Avenue. That's the ones that have been pre-notified that we've managed to find out about. Now the trains, what can we say about the trains? Well, there is disruption this weekend. The trains have been on strike today. There have been a very small skeleton service running, nothing locally down here in Weymouth. And the disruption will continue tomorrow because, of course, trains will not be where they need to be. And there'll need to be a lot of moving things around. So don't expect a regular service tomorrow on Sunday. And, you know, that disruption may even tide over to the beginning of the week. So do look before you travel and get the latest information from the rail providers. Now, what's coming up? Well, Weymouth Pavilion. This week we have got the 27th to the 28th, the Sea Shanties and Nautical Nuggets, starring pupils from our local schools. Now, if you're a parent and your children are involved in that, you will no doubt know, and hopefully you've got some tickets for that. Different youngsters from different schools getting involved in the different shows, I understand. 29th of June, Buddy Holly and the Cricketers. 7th of July, Beyond the Barricade. 8th of July, Rhythm of the Dance. 10th of July, comedian Sarah Millican. 17th of July, Magic of the Beatles. And 22nd of July, The Magic of Dean. The box office number for Weymouth Pavilion is 01305 783 225. That's 01305 783 225. Also, online box office at weymouthpavilion.com, where you can see what shows are coming up and book seats as well. Now, the North Fort is starting to fill up their programme for the next few months. 2nd of June, so that's obviously gone, but running right through to the 15th of July. So still on. the Royal Memorabilia exhibition. 1st of July, Wessex Musical Theatre, Songs from Stage and Screen. 9th of July, The Mikado, being produced by Opera Anywhere. 16th of July, the Shudossi Outdoor Family Show. I'm not sure if I said that right. Shudossi, it sounds very different name there, but it looks to be quite fun. Look on their website. And 23rd of July, the Victorian Weekend. So do have a look at the No Fault website to get information there. And just a reminder, July the 9th and July the 10th, Not Quite Aladdin is on at the Royal Manor Theatre on Portland. Their website is www.royalmanortheatre.co.uk, and their box office number is 033 36 66 3366. 033 36 66 3366. Now we come to that section in our programme for the film review, and we welcome back again this week Andrew Wright, who you will know has been with us a few weeks now. Andrew is a student studying media at Bournemouth University and is on a placement with us. And Andrew has been doing our weekly movie review. So we're going over to Andrew any second now. Here we go.
Welcome to Wyke Regis TV film review and preview. I'm Andrew Wright. The 28th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was released on Disney Plus this week. Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness stars Benedict Cumberbatch as multiple versions of the titular hero, as well as Elizabeth Olsen, a fellow Marvel star, and the film is directed by cult movie director Sam Raimi, most notable for directing the Evil Dead trilogy and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy. Watching this film on Disney Plus was the first time I had seen this movie, and I was eagerly anticipating it, as was the rest of the fandom, amidst rumours of special cameo appearances from high-profile Marvel characters and actors. Whilst the film does have its issues in terms of its writing, pace, and the musical score, the actors and director and the visual effects department were all at the top of their game, and definitely makes it a standout film in the MCU by introducing horror and giving us a sort of more another path in the franchise's future. So I give the film 4 out of 5 stars. Last Christmas season, the 4th film in the Matrix franchise was released after The Matrix Revolutions was released nearly 20 years ago, and is currently streaming on home video services such as Sky Cinema. The Matrix Resurrections features the returns of Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss as their iconic sci-fi characters, Neo and Trinity, in another mind-bending addition to the franchise. Whilst this film relies heavily on the nostalgia fans felt from the original trilogy, it also manages to be its own thing by resolving and adding to loose threads from the end of the 3rd film. Whilst the film doesn't necessarily justify its own existence, it still turns out to be a fun film with a surprisingly perfectly cast villain. So I give this film, Matrix Resurrections, 4 out of 5 stars. The big cinema release this weekend is the rock biopic Elvis, starring Austin Butler and Tom Hanks, and from the director of films such as 2013's The Great Gatsby and 2001's Moulin Rouge. Elvis chronicles the life and career of the King of Rock, as well as his complex relationship with his manager. Current reviews label the film as dazzling, with Austin Butler's performance being praised not just by critics but by Presley's family as well. An anticipated cinema release this weekend is the horror movie The Black Phone, starring Ethan Hawke from films such as Training Day, and from the director of Sinister and Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange. This film might not be for anyone, and be warned, it contains distressing themes such as child abduction. The plot revolves around a serial killer whose latest victim finds a disconnected phone in his lair that can communicate with the voices of his previous victims. Early reviews from the film festival circuit have been universally positive, including a review from from famed horror writer Stephen King, who was also singing the film's praises. This weekend's big streaming release is Netflix's The Man from Toronto, starring Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson, and from the director of The Expendables 3 and The Hitman's Bodyguard. The Man from Toronto revolves around a screw-up and an assassin being forced to team up after being confused for one another. Be sure to check it out this weekend if you like comedic action thrillers. That's all I have for this week, but be sure to check back next week where I will preview the new Minions movie, titled The Rise of Gru, as well as other movies. Now back to Gary in the studio.
Thank you very much, Andrew, there for this week's movie review. Now that brings us just about to the end of this evening's programme. Firstly to say, if you need to get in touch with myself here in the studio or with Andrew about the movie review, or Janet with any ideas for articles, then please do drop us a line, news@WykeRegis.tv, and we'll put you in touch. A reminder that our Saturday evening quiz starts promptly at 7:30, but the stream goes live in about 30 minutes time at 7:15, and everybody is welcome with that. The mid-June episode of A Year Gardening with Clive Gray went out on Friday evening and is repeated on Sunday tomorrow at 4 p.m, so don't miss that. And just finally to say, regular services tomorrow at All Saints Church are just 9:30. There's no 8 a.m. tomorrow, and 11 o'clock at St Edmund's Church. So there we go. We're at the end of another programme. Thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully next week we'll be speaking to one or two of the other election candidates and hearing what they have for us in store in Wyke and what they think the priorities are, and obviously hoping that you will vote for them when it comes to the elections on the 7th of July. But other than that, I hope you have a good weekend and a good week ahead. That it's not too hot or not too wet, and I look forward to being with you 6 o'clock next Saturday. Good night.